Hello, everybody. My name is David, and I'm a product specialist for ZAPTEST. And today, we are reviewing the enterprise solution. The format of this meeting is I'm going to show you a few slides to demonstrate conceptually what the technology is about. So let's get started. A few words about who we are. We've been in the business for over 20 years, first as a software testing, but now a full automation solution. Our founder and CEO, Alex Triniak, is a member of the Forbes Technology Council and represents software testing for Forbes worldwide. ZAP is also part of Gartner Tech CEO. Gartner are the world's largest technology analysts that pretty much outline the direction of the industry today. And so the business model and all the findings you see today were jointly designed with Gartner's feedback and support. We're positioned as a full-stack, cross-platform test and RPA solution for Windows, Linux, and Mac, and mobile, and we offer unlimited licenses of our software for our clients. What sets us apart from other competitors on the market is that we are a more enterprise, technology advanced, and business-oriented solution. ZAPTEST's mission in the market is test optimization, and as test professionals, I'm sure you'll agree that test automation easily becomes a really long and costly process. But with ZAPTEST, users can make test automation fast and cost efficient. As software automation leaders, our motto is that we can automate any software, UI, or API. We can meet any schedule that you need to set as an enterprise, and we can accommodate any skill level, whether you prefer programming with or without code. We're Atlanta-based with offices in other countries as well. Moving on from there, the automation process is made up of several different phases. We automate end-user actions, and our advantage is we can address it in a cross-platform fashion. So if you need to go through the process with different permutations, browsers, or devices, we only need to automate it once, and then we can execute it exactly where we need to. This is what we mean when we have a one-script technology. And ZAPTEST software addresses both aspects of test automation, tactical and strategic. From a tactical perspective, ZAPTEST automates end-user actions and competes with other functional test automation tools, but with the difference that any test module or script created with ZAPTEST by default is cross-platform oriented. And from a strategic perspective, we offer a lot more than typical tools do. We can automate all phases of automation in the enterprise. For example, we have our Doc Studio that auto-generates test documentation. This way your team won't need to write manual test cases to describe the end-user process. The script that we create can auto-generate a description into textual documentation. This way, we can save a lot of time. We also offer parallel test execution through the multi-run studio. If we need to run the same procedure through multiple test environments, we can group all environments together and run it only once. To support parallel device execution, we also offer a device host management system. It's a cloud-based system that allows us to manage and govern all the operational infrastructure. And that encompasses the front end, but we also support back-end automation through APIs as well. In some areas, that's all that's required, but in others, when we'd like to support UI with API automation, we can do that as well. We also have technology for performance testing, so we can check the scalability of the overall system that we use for operational purposes. And all that can be done as a part of RPA, robotic process automation. We are also famous for our visual object recognition concept. It's a technology that we developed over a decade ago, and it allows us to automate our software cross-platform on 7 operating systems. This gives us an opportunity to execute test scripts against any permutation of any application under test in any environment. But most importantly, we deploy our solution in a very high speed and low maintenance. This is a very important aspect of any RPA solution. As a matter of fact, we were ranked the #1 solution for testing and RPA by a number of publications. Another unique advantage of ZAPTEST is our early test automation. One of the main challenges of the test automation industry is time to market, especially surrounding Agile DevOps processes. Any test automation team is at least one release behind developers with test automation readiness. And because any modern test tool on the market only allows for test automation against the live application, Given the fact that test automation by itself takes time, test teams can perform automated regression testing, always delayed. But with ZAPTEST, you can do test automation on mockups of any type, either formal wireframes or hand drawings like you see in the picture. And therefore you can start test automation right at the application design phase and have 100% QA and test automation time within the SDLC, or the software development lifecycle. In waterfall development, there are historically two main challenges: a gap between manual testers, or SMEs, subject matter experts, that write test case candidates for test automation, and the test automation specialists, since they don't always understand the requirements. And another challenge is the fact that test documentation development is a time-consuming process. With ZAPTEST, manual testers, or subject matter experts, instead of writing test documentation, can simply use the ZAPTEST screen recorder to develop video scenarios explaining how an automated script should look like. An automator will then use this video scenario to follow during scripting. It also offers a narration feature and can even generate test objects in case there is no access to the live application under test. And the test script development looks like how it does in the previous case, which is script, document, and then execute. In fact, ZAPTEST is the only testing tool on the market today that allows these three approaches to test automation: through the live application, through mockups, or through video scenarios, in contrast to other tools which only offer one way, which is through a live application. ZAPTEST supports Agile, waterfall, or any mixed development testing process. You don't need to update your testing process, but simply start using ZAPTEST as it is. However, if for a moment we'll consider a formal Agile or a formal waterfall framework, in the Agile test automation framework, it looks like script, document, and then execute. Where in the traditional test automation framework, you start with writing manual test documentation that serves as pseudocode for the test automation team. Since test documentation is a time-consuming process, and ZAP's motto is fast testing, we start right away by scripting using either mockups or video scenarios, and then developing only one script for one business process, keeping in mind that this script will be executing as is in the test environment. Once the script is developed, we can generate test documentation with one click. This approach allows us to eliminate the need for separate test case development and maintenance and save many man-hours, as well as to keep test documentation in compliance with the test automation framework. Anytime we update the automated script, we then auto-update test documentation. All this is done while the application is still under development. When the application is released, we can then execute one ZAPTEST script across any test environment in parallel at once, and therefore save a lot of time for regression testing. ZAPTEST is based on multiple studios, where one script is the core ZAPTEST studio, allowing the use of us to script end user steps. One script allows us to automate the testing of any GUI-based application. In fact, it's a fully desktop automation technology. It allows for a modular architecture where any ZAPTEST module or script can then be called within another module. And ZAPTEST offers flexibility to use either VBScript, JavaScript, or even no-code options. Moving on from there, another ZAPTEST component is doc, that converts ZAPTEST scripts into a plain text document. You can convert into a comment format like RTF, HTML, CSV, Excel, or we even offer XML if you'd like to develop your own custom harness. Or you can integrate with any application lifecycle management system like HP ALM, Rally, Jira, or Microsoft TFS, where you can store it in complete ZAPTEST modules with the script, documentation, and execution results. ZAPTEST MRun, or multi-run, allows for the execution of one ZAPTEST script across all test environments, mobile and conventional workstations, and even scanners, in parallel at once. This way, users save a lot of time on test execution and can deliver regression testing always just in time. Farm is a software-only technology offering ZAPTEST users a private cloud. It's a sister technology and offered to ZAPTEST enterprise users, complimentary and unlimited. Users install Farm on their prem and can use it to create a remote control test environment. on mobile and conventional workstations using their own hardware. Farm can be used for manual testing, test automation with ZAPTEST, or even for mobile application deployment. Besides functional UI testing, we also offer API automation as well. We support REST, SOAP, OpenAPI, and GET, POST, authentication, custom headers, attachments, and parameterization. And the load component extends ZAPTEST functionality to enable performance testing of an API server infrastructure using standard ZAPTEST1 scripts. We're able to connect to multiple remote generators using Farm and then perform a stress test of an application. All we need to do is perform a proxy reporting of the business process on the application under test, and then use that script to run our very own load test. Afterwards, ZAPTEST performs an extremely comprehensive root cause analysis of the system under load. ZAPTEST also offers robotic process automation for business professionals interested in automating back office operations. Our RPA also supports the same level of cross-application execution and full input and output data parameterization. ZAPTEST offers comprehensive automation engineering, which is of the highest demand in the industry today. Certified ZAP experts will assist your team with ZAPTEST implementation, best practices, and enablement of the product and the process. In fact, ZAPTEST is the only tool that offers 100% test automation time, since you can start test script development at the design phase using mockups. With this approach, you'll always be ahead of the developers with test automation readiness, and therefore, you'll deliver more testing with fewer man-hours. And depending on your test execution requirements, you'll continually increase test automation productivity, reduce the cost of test automation, and optimize your testing's return on investment. And all of this is in accordance with the hyper-automation of digital transformation theory, which basically states if something can be automated within the enterprise, then it should be automated. And ZAPTEST follows through with that promise by providing comprehensive automation solutions for all levels of the organization. ZAPTEST has a very high adoption rate in the market, and here's some of the main factors. We can automate any application, we can meet any development schedule, and we can accommodate any team member's skill set. But most importantly, the reason why the enterprise industry adopts ZAPTEST, despite the fact that they've been using other tools for many years, is stability. One of the main challenges of the test automation industry is time to market, and ZAPTEST is considered the single most efficient tool on the market. That was a general overview of the tool. Now I'm going to pass it over for a live demo.
ZAPTEST is designed to support automation of any testing process, Agile, waterfall, or any other software application development testing. There are four main approaches to use ZAPTEST. Automate against live application under test. Automate against the application UI mockups. Automate against a recorded video scenario, or automate against an application's API layer. Our first approach is against a live application under test. In this example, we will use the industry common approach of developing test automation using a live application. To do this, we are going to use the Scan GUI functionality within ZAPTEST and select the interface of the opened application under test. As you can see, ZAPTEST scanned the UI and created a view with the scanned objects. At this point, we can select the desired objects that we need for automation and delete the rest. Once we have all the desired objects, we are going to create a script to perform the end user steps. ZAPTEST offers scriptless test development approach for beginners, as well as scripted approach for advanced users, who may choose VB script or JavaScript for writing their code. Once the script is ready, we will execute it and review the results. In our second example, we will create a test script using application mockups. This approach is useful to advance test automation readiness and is generally used to support testing for Agile development. To create a script using mockups, we will follow a process similar to the previous example. But instead of scanning a live application, we will be scanning a mockup. As a result of each scan, we are getting a new view in the GUI map with all objects present. At this point, we will be following the exact same steps as in the live application example, and will create a script using the desired objects that we collected from our mockups. Once the script is ready, we will add one more step to invoke the application under test. Then we will execute the script and review the results. Our third approach is to automate testing with ZAPTEST using a recorded video scenario. This approach is useful to support the waterfall development process, or any process that requires collaboration and knowledge transfer between application subject matter experts and test automation specialists. To create the script, we will follow the steps as a subject matter expert and record the video scenario by using the ZAPTEST screen recorder. To do this, we will navigate to the Recorder tab on ZAPTEST and click on the Record button. As you can see, ZAPTEST invokes the Recorder toolbar to control the recording process. To record the scenario, we simply need to manually perform the end-user steps following the test case and stop the recording. Once the recording is finished, ZAPTEST creates a full recorded video and auto-generates application views. At this point, we will begin acting as a test automation specialist and will develop the script using the recorded video. Using any video frame, we can create additional views if needed. Once we have all the views, we will click the Generate Views button in the upper left corner of the scenario pane. As you can see, ZAPTEST generates a list of test objects and displays them in GUI map. Now we can create and execute a test script using a process similar to the previous examples. As in our first two examples, you can see the results after the script has been executed. Our last approach is to use the ZAPTEST.AI functionality to test SOAP or REST services. Web service testing steps can be combined with regular UI testing. In ZAPTEST, we will use API Explorer to define a server object. All available API methods are loaded from the WSDL file. We will select a method from the list and use the API Studio to customize the request attributes and define validation points. In this example, we will use a combination of API and UI steps to get our company name value and use it for a Google search. We will run the test and review the results. In addition, we can use the ZAPTEST doc functionality to auto-generate test documentation coverage of any given test script in any of the testing approaches that we've seen here. To generate the documentation, we need to click the Generate button located in the Doc module. The Doc module provides controls to edit the generated documentation, to save it to a file under various file formats, or to export it to any of the supported test management systems. Any test script developed using any testing approach can be used in ZAPTEST for parallel execution. To do this, we will navigate to the mRun tab. Connect to all the devices that need to be part of the testing effort, and click on the Run button. ZAPTEST uses the multi-runs mode to execute the same test on all connected devices in parallel. After the parallel test run is complete, we will open the test report and review the execution results for each device. ZAPTEST is proud to present new load testing technology. The load component extends ZAPTEST functionality to enable performance testing of a server infrastructure. Now, ZAPTEST users can utilize the same API-based scripts for both functional and performance testing. A test script can be created either manually or via a recording process. Manual test script creation uses traditional API development utilities, API Explorer, and API Studio. This approach primarily applies to testing SOAP and REST web services, when users can obtain all required details from a web service provider. Alternatively, test scripts can be generated automatically by capturing and processing clients' communication. ZAPTEST provides the API proxy recording tool to record live traffic during users' interaction with a browser or any other client application that uses HTTP protocol. Users can configure filters to log only desired requests and define transactions to group logical steps during a recording session. Once the recording is complete, the recorded requests can be analyzed and filtered in the Editor tool. Users can select which requests will be added as test steps or defined as API objects. Auto-generated test scripts can be further enhanced with input data parameterization, dynamic values correlation, and rich logic. ZAPTEST handles web session authentication automatically. Any additional correlation can be done with the help of the Correlation Manager tool. Using this tool, users can define correlation rules that will be automatically applied during script generation. Once the test scripts are ready, they can be used in a load testing scenario. The load is generated by running multiple concurrent virtual users. The load can be scaled up by using distributed load generating capacity. Users can define various load parameters, configure behavior of a user group, enable SLA settings for pass-fail criteria, control parameterized test data distribution, include multiple test scripts and remote generators for complex frameworks, and monitor performance statistics live. Comprehensive test results include data and graphs that help to reveal weak points in the system under test. As you can see, ZAPTEST can support any test automation development process that uses Agile, waterfall, or any other software application development testing by automating against live application, mockups, video scenarios, or API components. please navigate to ZAPTEST.com and start your test automation today.
Now I'm going to wrap up the presentation by reviewing some of the business aspects of the tool. As far as onboarding is concerned, ZAP follows a hybrid software and services model. The resource we provide to you being a ZAP expert consulting remotely full-time, and the deliverable that they provide to you being ZAP test automation and product enablement for customer personnel, ensuring that you're able to utilize as much of the enterprise suite as possible. Once you onboard with us, you receive unlimited licenses of the enterprise solution for the entire organization. Value proposition to you being the ability to automate any software task throughout the enterprise, a fixed budget expenditure so that there aren't any upcharges throughout your use of ZAPTEST, and full-time certified implementation so that you're able to maximize your output and get the absolute most of your test automation. Thank you, and we invite you to consider ZAPTEST for your enterprise's test automation and RPA.